My name is Keri Barnum. I am the Executive Director for New Shelves Books, and this is Free Advice Fridays. So we are going to answer questions live today from authors and publishers, just all about books, book marketing, publishing, anything goes kind of. So we've got a couple of questions coming in live. The first question is, I got my PCIP code, which is a publication in, it's a cataloging block for librarians that adds value to them because it helps them to easily catalog your book. When it comes in as a Word document. It's just a big block of text. And the question is, I've got this PCIP block. Now, what do I do with that PCIP block once it comes in? And the answer is really easy. Your PCIP block is already formatted. It's in a specialized setup, so you can't move the words around at all. What you do is you copy and paste, or your interior designer will copy and paste the entire PCIP block into your copyright page. Generally, it's kind of towards the bottom, and they'll copy and paste the whole thing down. Now, you can format that to be the same font size and font as the rest of your book, but otherwise it has to stay exactly the same. And then that PCIP block is now a fixture in your copyright page for librarians. Then once you have that finalized PDF, you re-upload your interior PDF for KDP, Ingram Spark, anywhere you've got the book up. Now, keep in mind that while you can get a PCIP for an ebook, you don't necessarily have to put it inside of the ebook. I get that question a lot. Because just having the record for the ebook is enough generally to have it up and running. You don't have to go put it inside the ebook because the cataloging's different. It goes all digital through the system. There's no physical book that has to be cataloged. So I wouldn't worry about that. And definitely don't add it to the cover. That goes right in the copyright page. Let's see. Yes, and David is saying you're designer. So generally that's correct. Whoever's doing your interior would do that right in InDesign typically. All right. I am relaunching my first book of a trilogy on September 29th. What do I need to do differently to promote it? So Vicki, the thing about relaunching is really the lead up. And I know that we've talked about this before, but when you have a series or a trilogy, it's really important that you launch the first book strongly because that is what the whole basis of your book sales will be on. I would recommend that for a first book. I know you have historical fiction, and I would recommend that you consider doing a blog tour to get the word out. You also really need to focus on reviews. Reviews of your first book are key to getting read through for the rest of the series. And if I'm not mistaken, you will be launching the rest of your book series fairly quickly after that, which means that you have to really launch the first book strong, focus on those reviews, focus on the blog tour and things like that. But really when your sales will hit their peak will be when that third book comes out, because then you can promote the first book with a read through for the third book. So it's kind of a little bit of launching, and you do need to put a lot of time and effort into it, but you won't see the full effect of that until your third book. Just like when we were talking to Barb Pinsky last week, just doing a promo on her first book got her a ton of read through on the rest of her books. And I think that's what you'll see also. But I know I've said it, I'll say it again. Reviews, reviews, reviews. Talk it up on social media and share. I think that's the best thing to do for your first book in the series. All right. I don't know if I asked about this printing company, but a children's Facebook page mentioned a company called IACP, Independent Authors Publishing Collection. Ever heard of them? I can't say that I have ever heard of them, Pat. However, what I always do when I'm looking into a new company, number one, Google them, look for reviews, go to their Facebook page, look for reviews, Better Business Bureau, and see if there's any complaints against them. And also I would be going to Google. Google will show a lot of things. And if anything shows up on like IBPA or Ally, which is the Alliance of Independent Authors, anything like that shows up saying that this company is great to use, I generally trust them, but a little sleuthing will go a long way with a new company like that. And if you find anything out, let us know. All right, is it worth the expense of hiring a professional blog tour person? Kate, if you would, I've got a couple of questions. Can you go over to the chat box and tell me about your book? What genre it is, if this is your first book, if it's a book in a series, tell me a little bit about it. And let's see, in the meantime, I'll come back to that one. You tell me about it in the chat box and I'll come back to that one. All right. And then Sonia is also asking about a barcode. Yes, for Ingram Spark, you want a price-specific barcode. That is what you need if you would like to sell retail. And that goes right on the back of your book cover. Where your normal barcode would go, generally it's the bottom right of your cover. That's where it goes. So you just have your cover designer place that right on your cover file for Ingram Spark. You don't want it for KDP, but for Ingram Spark, you want a price-specific barcode, and it goes right on the back. And a price-specific barcode, before I get that question, is where the price is literally coded into the barcode so that any retailer, bookseller who is selling your book can look at the back of the book and immediately know the price. And it also allows for people with the scanny systems, which most people do. I'm sure there's like a more legit way of saying scanny system, but anyone who has that, when they scan it through, it will bring the price up automatically. So it makes their job much easier. They're not hand coding in a price for anything. All right. My books are 6x9 and it seems like the PCIP block is usually too wide. Well, Michael, that's why you can adjust the font size. You can adjust the font size to your interior font size. And some of it, if it's too wide, it will wrap around. It'll go to the next line. That's fine. You just cannot move anything. You can't decide, well, I don't like that they put this category first, so I'm going to move it or swap it. You can adjust for size, and if it's something that, because of your font size or what have you, goes to a different line, that's fine. You just can't create any of your own page breaks, move anything around for that PCIP block. All right. If a library system purchases a book, how do I follow up with further marketing if I have no idea who the actual purchaser is? We get this question a lot, actually, and the question here is, when you are selling your books, you can see, if you've been doing a lot of promotion to libraries or bookstores, you can see that you've got orders through Ingram Spark. The dashboard will show you a rolling 30-day sales, and then of course you get sales reports. But can you tell who bought them? Because I marketed to 500 libraries, can I tell which one bought them? And the answer is no. Because of privacy laws, you cannot see who ordered. You can only see that someone did order. So unless someone specifically comes back and says, hey, I ordered your book, you don't really know. With that said, if you have a PCIP block and you're easy to catalog, many librarians will quickly put your book into their cataloging system and it will be recorded on worldcat.org. So you can kind of see that way, but much of it, it's a mystery. You don't really know who's ordering. So as far as follow-up, I think you always follow up assuming that they didn't order unless they tell you that they did. However, one of the things that we feel very strongly about is we never, ever, ever say, did you get my email? Or I haven't heard from you. Anything that puts pressure on the buyer. We don't want to be those people that they don't want to open up the email because it feels slightly accusatory. So responding or following up with things like, I know that I reached out to you last month about my book. However, there's some really exciting news that I just won the Gold Award for Reader's Favorite. And I wanted to share that with you in case you're still considering purchasing my book for your library system. Here's the information again. So you see how it turns it from did you didn't, and turns it into, hey, I just want to share with you more great news. And if you're still considering, here you go. That is the best way to approach buyers in libraries. They don't owe us anything. They don't have to carry our books. And if we approach them with kind of the feeling and the attitude of friendliness and sharing, that is the best way to go about it. And even if they did buy it, what are they going to say? Oh, that's so great. We just bought your book last week, so I'm really excited about that. Congratulations on your award. Either way, it's very friendly and it's productive. So that would be my recommendation for how to follow up with libraries when you don't really know who ordered. All right. And then if you do know that a library ordered your book, if someone specifically says, hey, just ordered your book, it'll go in our system. As far as follow-up, if you have other books later down the road, you can go back to them and say, hi, I know that you ordered my last book and I wanted to let you know my new book or the new book in the series is out. Or simply just a thank you so much. If I can assist you in your library in any way, please let me know. That keeps, again, open lines of communication available. All right. And Randy has a question here that I wanted to talk about today anyway, and it's my book just went off of KDP Select. So it just went off of Kindle Select, which is exclusive for Kindle Unlimited. Now what? Should I publish to Draft to Digital? Should I re-up it? How do I make that choice? And Randy, the thing that I always do, and for anyone really, if you've been in KDP Select, and you're trying to decide stay exclusive or go wide, go with broad distribution through Draft to Digital, I always suggest that you look back on your sales and you look back on your page reads. Did you have the majority of your activity on the book through Kindle Unlimited? Or did you get a lot of straight sales? Were people really reading or buying your ebook, or were they buying the paperback? I think that is kind of what you look at. And another thing is, what's your genre? If your genre is something that people read through quickly, romance, mystery, thrillers, I highly recommend that you consider staying with KDP Select, because Kindle is 90% of ebook sales, and Kindle Select and Kindle Unlimited is really popular with people who read a lot, and that kind of genre fiction is something that people tend to have. They tend to have a Kindle Unlimited subscription if they read that much. Now, if you have something specific and stylized like poetry, which I know, Randy, you do, that's when I would really take a good hard look at your sales, at your Kindle Unlimited page reads. Did you have a ton? Was most of your activity on Kindle Unlimited? If not, then I would consider going broad and going wide, especially if your goal is to get into libraries. So look at your sales, look at your activity, and that should be kind of the push and the marker for your decision there. And I know, Randy, if you've got specific questions, give me an email, let me know the numbers, and maybe we can talk it out. All right, let's go back to Kate's question about whether or not hiring a professional blog tour person was worth it. She said she's published 5 books, and they're Amish fiction, I believe, and recently self-published through KDP a general market romance, Stage Fright, the story of a woman who travels through England with her church choir, overcomes her fear, and finds love, of course. So I would say that a blog tour, if I were doing a blog tour personally, if you have a series, I would blog tour your first book in the series. Or for your general interest romance, romance is huge in blog tours. And if you want to get a lot of SEO, a lot of attention onto your website and links to your website, if you would like to get some new reviews that can really help boost you, a blog tour is a great option. And when you look at the cost of it, I always say, do you have time or do you have money? You have to have one or the other. If you've got the time to personally reach out to, not only reach out, if you've got the time to personally find, search a bunch of blogs within your genre and reach out to them and ask them to review your book, go for it. I mean, you can do your own blog tour that way, absolutely. However, if you don't have the time for that, or you just don't have the computer savvy, whatever it may be, consider a blog tour. And yes, it is an expense, but it does not have to be expensive. Some of these blog tours are as inexpensive as $150. For $150, I think it is a great value, especially because you have multiple books. So if someone is discovering you for the first time, you could potentially not just get one book read and one royalty from a book, but you can get royalties from 5 other books. That's a really good opportunity. So in my opinion, that's a great investment. If you, however, let's talk blog tours for nonfiction. If you've got a nonfiction book that really is really niche, it's probably not good for a blog tour. You won't get your money's worth because you're trying to hit a really narrow market with a broad net. So in some instances, I'd say absolutely it's not worth it. You should take the time and do the research. But for general fiction, for romance, and for anything with a series, I think it's a good deal. I love that. Randy said, awesome, free advice. That's what we do, free advice Fridays. All right. All right. Let's see. All right, Jules is asking, is New Shelves currently offering some promotion to libraries? Jules, we are really at the moment, we are taking stock of that. We plan to make a decision in September to see if we'll offer a library mailing again in 2020. We are seeing more action and movement there. We're seeing libraries open up. So we're really hopeful. We've had a lot of requests for a library mailing and we're considering it. But if you are interested in a mailing with New Shelves, or if you're interested in library promotion, the best thing you can do is go to newshelves.com and sign up for our newsletter, because that is where we make our announcements. If you sign up for a mailing list, that is where we'll send that out. And like I said, we're hoping to make a decision in the next 2 weeks or so. We're watching the market. We want to make sure that whatever we do is fair and it's a good value. So keep an eye on that and we'll let you know. And let's see. And Vicky's asking, where do you get a price-specific barcode? There's a couple places. You can pay Bowker to get you a price-specific barcode. You can pay your designer to get you a price-specific barcode. Or if you are even a little bit tech savvy, you can go to Ingram Spark, and Ingram Spark has a cover template generator. When you do that, you can generate a cover for your book in a PDF. And when you do that, you can request a price-specific barcode. And literally, it will give you a whole cover template with the barcode. So if you already have your book cover done, but you need the barcode, you just crop it out until you just have the barcode. You send it to your designer and say, please put this on the book. And that is free. It may take you a minute to get started at first, but it's really not hard, I promise. I do them several times a week, so I can have one 5 minutes and I've got a price specific barcode. So if you've got several books, it's absolutely something that's worth learning or worth looking into. And again, Ingram Spark, it's their free cover template generator, and that's the way I do mine. And Vicki, we're working together, so if you need those, just email me. We'll make sure you get taken care of. Okay, some tips on doing a blog tour yourself. If you want to do a blog tour yourself, I think timing is key, and that's really what's important. Number one, you have to research all of the blogs that you think fit your book. Then you have to do individual email outreach asking people to review your book. And most of them will have guidelines or they'll have an email address, and you're simply putting it out there. Would you please consider reviewing my book? I'm a fan of your blog, or I've read your blog and I think it would be a great fit. And you tell them why it'd be a great fit, and then you ask them to do a review. The tricky part with an actual tour is that if you're trying to get a lot of SEO, a lot of movement at the same time, you are not only asking this person out of the goodness of their heart to review your book, you are asking them to review and post it on a specific week. So sometimes you may get a response and say, I can review it, but it won't be for 4 months from now. Or sometimes you'll get a no, and sometimes you'll have someone say, sure, not only will I review it, but I can have that done on the date you requested, which is October 25th. But that's rare. That is very rare in my experience to kind of line those up. So I think if you're doing a blog tour yourself, make sure that you are going in understanding it's time consuming. I do an Excel spreadsheet to track all the blogs that I'm looking up, the main person's name, their email address, what they review, what they don't review, their answer, yes or no, and if I've given them a book, all those details. And also, I think it's important to keep flexibility in mind. When you're working with a blog tour company, they have a lot of people on standby that will blog about books when they ask and in the time period they ask for. But when you're going by yourself and just asking for things, you have to really be flexible and understand that rather than a week-long blog tour, your blogging efforts may last 3 months. And that's okay. It's still great SEO. It's great to get it out there and keep it consistently, but keep in mind, it'll just kind of fluctuate. And that's the best thing you can do for yourself. Give yourself the gift of flexibility. I work on that every day. Not awesome at it, but I'm trying. All right. Okay, so this is good. Katrina just got her audiobook up live on Amazon and Audible yesterday. Way to go. Congratulations. And you're saying on Monday, the production company that released it emailed me the Amazon bounty codes for the US, UK, FR, and DE. I have never heard of bounty codes, and how should I use these? So I believe these bounty codes are free codes that people can use to download. And what I would be using these for is for reviewers. So whether you do a audiobook tour, much like a blog tour, you can do an audiobook tour where you're asking reviewers and blogs to review the book and you'll give them a free download code, or you are giving codes specifically to people for review. That's kind of what you want to use them for. And I would just make sure that if you're asking someone to review, that it's either like a legitimate blogger that you think will review the book. I would ask for a yes before you send a code. So you're not just sending out all your codes and then feeling like, I don't have any more and these people never responded, but I don't want to use it. If you just say, if you're interested, please let me know and I'll send you a code to download, then you're safe. And if you're sending it out to reviewers, I would be a little picky and choosy. I would make sure that you had some confidence that this person would listen and review a book. But congratulations. I love audiobooks. I think they're amazing. With as much as I work and I'm doing things, I listen to audiobooks all the time. And my husband drives all the time, so he does. And I think they are amazing. So great job. Way to go. And congratulations. Let me see. Whoops. All right. If someone called your offices and said, I just want to write my books and I would like you to take over the rest, marketing, etc., is there a package New Shelves offers to do it all? Yes, we do it all in some aspects. We offer publishing consulting as well as full packages where we're really walking alongside authors to publish their book, where you're publishing under your own company, but we are connecting you with our formatters. We're helping you walk through, keep an eye on your book. We do try to, I know I say it all the time, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but there is no one size fits all book marketing or publishing package, in my opinion. Everything it depends on the author, it depends on the book. So what I always say is if you're interested in working with New Shelves, I would love to talk to you. send me an email to info@newshelves.com. And then we do a free 15-minute call where we talk about your project and how or if New Shelves fits in, because we want the best for you. We don't just want clients. We want people that we can be friends with for a long time. So we want to make sure that if we can't deliver what you need, that we maybe get you in touch with someone else who can, and that we work that out honestly. So if you're interested in working with New Shelves in that capacity, just send me an email, info@newshelves.com. Okay. And Dennis, I know you are here and you've got questions about Amazon ads. So can you give me a little hello in the chat box? Because I have questions for you, my friend. And meanwhile, I'm going to pull up that email because it had so much information. And Dennis, for everyone else, Dennis had some questions about Amazon ads and how to read the results. He ran ads for the same book. One had same audience. He was reaching out to the same audience, basically the same metrics. And one campaign had 23,000 impressions, while the other campaign only had 4,300 impressions. And he was super confused about how, when you're using the same setup, the same metrics, how can you get such different and varying results? And so Dennis, I've got some questions for you. And my first question is, if I'm correct, it was the same book that you were marketing in both campaigns. Is that correct? Now we're going to put your typing speed and skills to the test. All right, same book. And so I know that when you're running an ad through KDP, generally as the author, you can only have one title and one format in each ad. So Dennis, did you have one ad running for the ebook with the metrics and then another ad running for the paperback with the same exact metrics? Is that what was going on? Same metrics. All right. And this is what I think happened. You ran the same ad, the same keywords, the same book, but you had an ebook and you had a paperback, and you had completely different results and completely different impressions. And here is why. Because when you're running an ad for an ebook, you are catering to people who are searching in Kindle books or for ebooks. When you're running a print book, you are catering to people who are searching under print book. Now, I know that you know when you go to Amazon and you search, there is like search categories. You can search the whole darn site and put in kids book, sure, and you can do that, but you can also go in and say, nope, I just want to look at books, or I just want to look at Kindle books, and put in that. If you're searching from a Kindle app or an iPad, some things will generally gear towards Kindle. So do you know, Dennis, were your impressions higher for the ebook or for the paperback? The paperback. And what's your genre? What's your book about? It's a mystery, thriller, crime. Perfect. So what that tells me is that most people within your genre, within the mystery, thriller, and crime, even if they may read ebooks, they're searching under paperbacks. And that's what I think happened. Also keep in mind that it depends on your competition. Are more people running ads for those keywords in your categories in ebooks? If so, you naturally have less impressions, because what's happening is you have more competition. It's harder to get seen when you've got more competition. Whereas in paperback, if less people are advertising the same keywords and the same metrics as you, you've got more of a chance to be seen. Your impressions go up, and with your impressions, and for anyone who doesn't know, an impression is any time your full book cover is on the screen, whether it be in you may also enjoy at the bottom of a product page or in a search page. If your book is fully on the cover, then that is an impression. So it may be that the metrics, you had less competition, even though it was the same keywords, the same data, there was less competition in ads for that day and that period of time in paperback, which is why you got more lift there than in ebooks. And I hear you that you're saying that you use keywords for, or author names for your keywords, which is so smart. Amy and I have said for a long time that your best keywords will be your comp authors and comp titles. And I think that's really smart. But again, it matters more about if the competition was paperback or ebook. And if you've got the same metrics going on, but you have more competition in one format, and that's where you're running your ad, it will automatically drive your sales down. It's like if we're let's go basic. If we're sharing a pie and there are 10 of us who want a slice of the pie, well, our slice is going to be smaller. Whereas if you have a family of 4, like I do, and we make a pie and we're like, hey, let's split it 4 ways, I'm getting a big old wedge. I'm getting a huge piece because I'm sharing among less people. And that is kind of how the ads go. And that is why ads will vary. What may work so well one time may not work the next time, because there are constantly different variables that you can kind of try to plan for, that you can work around, but you can't really, you have no way of just straight knowing what those variables are, because we don't even know all of them. They happen in the back of Amazon. All right, experimenting with raising bid price on some keywords, would that help? In some cases, yes. So for those of you who don't know, Amazon ads, when it's a sponsored keyword ad, you are, you're bidding on the back end. And now this is not actually like people going 5 cents. Do I have 5 cents? I've got 6 cents. It's not like that, but it's little computers in the back end doing a constant bid every time a keyword is searched that's on your list. And if you raise your bid, you do have the option or the possibility of winning more bids because you're willing to go higher in price. So that could help. Just be careful that you're not starting to pay more and bid more than that keyword is worth. Just because people are fighting for it doesn't mean that that you want to go higher, because maybe it's not worth it. Maybe it would get you an impression, but is it a good impression? Is it good traffic that's converting over to sales? So there's so many variables to think about. I know it's kind of like mind boggling, but it does make sense if you look at it that way. I always say go further, lead further with the analytics. How does this make sense? And once you start to realize that, if your mind works that way, which mine does, I like to follow the bunny trail. So if your mind works that way, it starts to make sense and you can start to kind of plan accordingly, which makes your ads better and more effective. And yes, Randy's saying kindlepreneur.com has some great information on ads, and that's totally true. We also do ad work within New Shelf. So I hope that helps. I hope that at least makes a little more sense to what you're seeing. And if you still have questions, let me know. But I think we kind of uncovered the mystery there of at least why you had such varying results for the same ad set in the same book. All right. All right. If I have a series of performing arts books for kids and teens, do you think it's a good fit for a blog tour? Michael, I think for that, it may be a little niche. I'm afraid that may be the case. But here's what I'll tell you. I've worked with quite a few blog tour companies, and overall, if you ask them, if you put out the opinion out there and you say, hey, I'm asking you if you think my book would do well in a blog tour, can you give me your honest opinion? Most of them will give you their honest opinion. I've had blog tour people come back and say, you know what, in my experience, it doesn't do well. I'll do it for you, but I don't think you'll be happy. And if you're not happy, it just doesn't make me happy as a blog tour company. So I don't think it's a great investment for you. By and large, I've had very honest blog tour companies that I've worked with. One that I would highly recommend is R&R Book Tours. Shannon there is, she's a doll. She's absolutely lovely. And she's always been a straight shooter with me and with anyone I've sent her way. So I can't recommend her enough. Espresso Book Tours is another one. There's a whole list, which I know that we sent out the other day. And I actually wrote a full article on blog tours for Joel Friedman, the book designer. And there is a do this, not that article on his website that I'll try to pull up for you. That has a list of my favorite blog tour companies. I believe there's 7 of them. And so I'd say reach out and ask. It doesn't hurt to ask, and at least you know where you stand. And if your genre even lends itself to doing well on a blog tour. Is there such a thing as a series in poetry? I'm working on my 2nd book from the Swinging Door Saloon period of my life and have enough material for 3 books in total. Randy, I don't see why not. I think that if your books have cohesiveness over more than one book, you can call it a series. I mean, a series literally it just means that they're tied together. For some people, I mean, I'm sure we've all seen it where it's like, it's just a mystery series, totally different stories, but it's a series. So I think that you can tie it together like that, absolutely, as a series. I've never personally seen it with poetry that I remember, but I think it would be cool. And I think that you could absolutely do that. I see no reason not to. Right. Woo, we just got like 5 questions in at once. Let me see. I have my book up on Amazon. Yay. I've been asked to do a book signing locally and have set one up in another town too, hoping for more. Do you have any tips for making these successful? Thanks for doing these Fridays. Well, you're welcome. And all right, let's talk book events, because hopefully they're coming back, which is exciting. If you are doing a book event, I think it is key to ask the bookstore, the retailer, wherever it is, that you ask them, how can I make an event a success in your store? Is there anything I can do, bring, or promote that would help you? Because these stores know their audience, they know their capability. I've had stores that say, hey, bring snacks, and that's totally cool. And people love snacks and they'll stop and they'll talk at your booth. I've had people say, well, we have a really small spot and you're gonna be about, that's your booth right there. So you're gonna have no room except for to sit down and sign books. I think it's important to know your venue and have open communication with your event host. Now, with that said, there are some things that can do really well. Having some type of sign or branding, whether it be a table sign or like an easel that has your book on there, something that draws attention to your book. Also consider maybe having some type of little swag that even if people don't buy your book, they can take home that will remind them of your book later. I've seen bookmarks, I've seen pens. I did a book signing event last year for kids where we actually did little goodie bags. It was right around Halloween. So we did little goodie bags. I mean, they were inexpensive. We got stuff from the Dollar Tree. And then we did stickers where the book cover was made into a sticker. Again, it wasn't super expensive, but it was fun. And it was something that anyone, whether they bought the book or not, could take home with them that would remind them of the book later. So maybe people came back and bought it or looked it up, who knows. One of the most creative swag things that I've seen, I know bookmarks are really popular, which is great. It fits in with the bookie theme. But a lot of people have a lot of bookmarks. One of the most creative things I've seen for book swag was someone had chapsticks made and they had the label was about their book cover and had their website on it, which I thought was really cool because generally if people get chapstick, they're using it. And not only are they using their chapstick, but it's something that you can pull out in all different situations. And then if it catches people's eye, it's like, oh, what's that? What's that on your chapstick? What brand is that? Oh, it's a book cover. So, I mean, I think that can be really creative and things like that. Giving something to everyone. So whether they buy your book or not, they're reminded of you. And also show up early, early. Plan early, show up early, ask how you can help, ask if there's anything you need to bring. I've seen venues completely set up. The author just shows up, sits down and sign. And I have seen people come to events and they literally have a folding chair and that is it. Ask your venue what they have set up and how you can help, and then promote the heck out of that thing. Get it up on your Facebook page as an event, get it up and tell people about it, and make sure that if you have people locally, ask them to attend, because you want people to be there. And while the bookstore or the venue will be pushing traffic as well, if you can have people show up, it does a lot, not only to kind of make you feel more confident and comfortable, but also it makes the bookstore very happy or the venue very happy, because even if they're, let's say, I don't know, maybe you have a huge family and it's 10 people from your family are there. I understand maybe they've already bought your book and they don't want to buy another copy, but the venue will still be happy if they're browsing around and possibly looking at their merchandise. So all things to consider, but congratulations. I'm so excited for you and I hope those go really well. All right. For a given ebook keyword line, is it better to use a string of words instead of a single word? John, if you are here, can you ping me on the chat and tell me, do you mean keyword line like in your metadata, like when you're setting up on, let's say, Amazon or KDP? Is that what you're talking about for keyword line? Let me know that and I can better answer your question. So we'll come back to that in just a minute. That's what Patricia's saying. How do you do a book cover on small chapstick? Just the name. I've seen just the name with the author's website. I have seen where they actually took, like if it's a designed cover, it was something like they took part of that design and they wrapped it around and they had writing on top of it. You kind of have to get creative because a full book cover on chapstick is kind of tiny, but you can certainly convey the brand, which is really cool. All right. Let's see. If you have an agent, do you still need to construct a book proposal? Anna, I would ask your agent, because you may still need a book proposal to shop to a publisher. In most cases, you still need a book proposal. Sorry. So I would ask your agent, ask and see if they've done any work on that or what you can do to assist, because maybe your agent has said, hey, I'll kind of fix this for you. I'll get a proposal together and shop it for you. Or in some instances, maybe they don't. You don't know if you don't ask. So I would recommend that you go to your agent and you ask that question to them specifically. All right, if you hire a blog tour, what's the best way to support them to make the tour successful? Great question. I had someone call me and ask me that the other day. So if you are on a blog tour and you want to know, how can I get the most impact from this? How can I support the blog tour? The best thing you can do is, if there are blog posts, which there will be, it's a blog tour, when there are blog posts, make a comment on that blog. Say something like, thank you so much, or I'm glad you liked the book, whatever it is that fits in. And then when you do that, most of the time there's an option to get notices if anyone else comments on your post, which is great, because then if readers start to comment, you can interact, which the blog tour hosts love. The other thing that you can do, aside from commenting on your blog tour, is tweet, retweet, mention them on your Facebook page and tag them, simply talking about it. A lot of people think, well, the blog tour company's taking care of it, or they did a social media post, I don't need to. Not true. It's great that they do that and you don't have to craft this whole post by yourself, but simply retweeting something, liking something, sharing it, that is important. And if you have people around you on your team that are willing to share and support as well, that is huge, because social media lift can get a lot of attention, and it takes a minute for someone to share it and say, hey, look, my friend Sonia is on a blog tour, check it out. So that's what I would say, is just support them as far as commenting and tweeting and being involved. Also, I have found that my best blog tours, now blog tours generally they include like a cover photo that goes with your blog tour and different things like that. They will share your book cover, but I personally have found that if I provide a couple of graphics, either reviews or it's a graphic that features the book and has a quote from the book, different things like that, if I use those and share those with the blog tour host, they are almost always used in the tour, and I get feedback saying it was so nice to have something to give our blog tour hosts other than just the book cover. It was great to have different graphics that made their blog more exciting, and they really liked it. So consider doing something like that. Get on Canva and get creative, or if you have blog or if you have graphics that you've had made for you, then use them. I think that's fantastic. All right, I have a ebook, and New Shelves helped me understand how to get an ISBN and a priced barcode. Good, I'm glad we could help. Now a new question. My book is 9.5 by 7.5. I have a PDF version of 90 PPPX, How to Stop Fighting and Start Loving Again is the title. It is really a romantic relationship master course, but I need a way or guidance to do a really effective marketing plan and strategy. I would say, Ed, that your question seems like more about like you've got your book done, but how do you market it? And I think the first thing to any good marketing plan is find your audience. You should have in detail who your audience is, and where they hang out at, where they shop at. And on top of that, you should have a list of 10, preferably 20 or 50 comp authors and titles, people who have books like yours. Or I love when people say, but there's no book like mine. Yes, there is. Somewhere out there, there's a book kind of similar to yours. But more importantly, if there's not a book exactly like yours, find books and authors that write to the same audience. So if your book is about reconnecting and relationships, are you, I mean, there's plenty of relationship books out there. There are books about when you're on the edge of divorce, what to do, and getting along, and marriage, and whatever it may be. So find those comps, and that's where you start. Find the comps and find out what they are doing that's successful, and then take your cue from them and emulate them. So that's your next step. There's your homework. Go find your comp authors, your comp titles, and hone in and identify your market. Identify the general age range, the person that will be interested in buying your book, because that is the keystone to getting everything set up for your marketing plan. And that goes for everybody. I'm going to wag my finger. If you do not yet have comp authors or a marketing list, you should, I mean, that's your weekend homework. Go and really pin down who your audience is, who is buying books like yours, and who will buy books like yours, and then make a list of 10 minimum, absolute minimum comp titles. I'd much rather see, 20 or 50, but comp titles and authors. And I would try to keep those comp titles within the last 3 years. So that way you have a good idea of what's happening, what's selling, what's trending right now in the market. All right. Okay, and so John got back to me on his keyword question. So the question, just to remind everybody, was when doing your keywords, and he did specify in the metadata. So in your backend keywords for Amazon, is it better to use a string of words instead of a single word? For example, should you use futuristic action adventure versus just action, and how many words do you recommend stringing together? I love this question because this is something that has updated and changed at Amazon in the last couple of months. It used to be that you were very limited on your metadata keywords, but now you can have, I believe it's up to 50 characters in your keywords, and it is so very smart to string your words together. And the reason why is because you get more searchability, you get more keywords in there. So I recommend that when it makes sense. Now, I do not recommend at all that you just throw every keyword that you can fit in on one line within 50 characters. But if it makes sense, like futuristic action adventure, do that. Do the full string. If sci-fi space opera makes sense, do that. Make sure that it's a complete thought. It's something that makes sense, but absolutely going through and stringing your keywords together is super smart, and that's what I would be doing. All right, information. Kate's asking information on Amazon ads. There's lots of places for Amazon ads. If you're looking for New Shelves help, again, email info@newshelves.com. We've also had made mention and recommendations for both Kindlepreneur and Brian Cohen. So those are all reputable sources for ads and ad help. There are YouTube videos out there. There are classes out there that you can take. So there's a lot of great resources, some free, some paid, that you can research for Amazon ads. And I love Amazon ads. I think that Amazon is killing it in the market right now. They're 90% of ebook sales, and last year they were 48% of print book sales. I think this year in 2020, they are going to be even more prevalent in the market for those print book sales with everything that's been going on. And last year alone on Amazon, 1 million titles were published. 1 million. If you're not running ads, unfortunately, what happens a lot of the time is you're just a little fish in a big sea. You're 1 in a million. Whereas if you're running ads, yes, you are paying, but you are paying to get yourself in the searches. You're paying to make sure that your book is seen. And one of the hardest things to selling a book is simply getting it to be seen. So we love Amazon ads. You have to do them smartly. You have to pay attention to your ROI. You have to pay attention to your bids and make sure you're not just throwing away your money. But if you're smart about it, if you look at them analytically, if you follow your ads, you can really make a profit on them. So not just paying to get your book seen, but paying to get your book seen so that it can be bought, so that you can get your name out there and you can make money as an author. I think that Amazon ads are almost a must now. And so definitely look into those because I think it's important. We've got a follow-up question to metadata, keyword, and searchability. Does Amazon also use keywords in your title and subtitle? They absolutely do. Your title and your subtitle are automatically search words on Amazon. So I never ever put my title or subtitle in either a paid search or in my metadata keyword list because it's already on there. You're basically wasting keywords if you do that. So I don't ever do that. And yes, you should take advantage of stringing together keywords for Amazon ads. Whew, man, you guys, that was a busy day. We're at the end. I think we caught all of the questions for today. Thank you for joining me. I hope you come back next week. I don't think we have a guest for next week, but in the upcoming weeks, we do have an editor coming on who's going to chat with us, which I'm really excited about. We have someone who is also going to talk to us about illustrations. There was this article that was amazing that caught my eye, all about illustrations and how to fit them on a book, to go from a illustration or a painting and size it for a book properly. It was an amazing article and I loved it so much that I reached out and I was like, hey Masha, loved your article, will you come talk to us on Free Advice Friday? And Masha has agreed, so I'm so excited about that. She'll be on in a couple weeks. And I think maybe, since I guess some people miss her, we'll bring Amy back. So we're really excited. We're going to pick a week for Amy to come back, and she is going to tell us more about getting your book traditionally published and working with an agent, querying, all that good stuff. So lots of things coming up. We're excited that you're here with us. If you have questions in advance, either for a guest speaker or just for normal Fridays, send them to questions@freeadvicefridays.com, and we'll get to those during our normal calls. And then, of course, if we have guests, then we'll go ahead and go over them then. I think I've got everything covered for today. Thank you guys for joining me. If you haven't yet, subscribe to our YouTube for our replays, and we will see you next week. Bye.